The massive war room of the Vorthak Dominion buzzed with activity. Hundreds of alien officers moved between glowing displays that showed star maps covering half the galaxy. At the center of it all stood Admiral Kextar, his 6 arms crossed as he studied the reports flowing in from the Outer Rim territories. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for over 3,000 years. Their empire stretched across 400 star systems, each one conquered through overwhelming force and superior technology. No species had ever successfully resisted them for more than a few months. Today they faced what appeared to be their easiest conquest yet. "Admiral," called out Science Officer Velkon, his tentacles dancing over a holographic interface. "The scouts have returned from the Sol system. Their report confirms what we suspected." Kextar turned his massive head toward the display. The image showed a small blue and green world orbiting a yellow star. "Show me the details." The hologram shifted to reveal data streams about Earth's inhabitants, population numbers, technology levels, military capabilities, everything the Dominion needed to plan another swift conquest. "The species calls themselves humans," Velkon continued. "They achieved faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. Their entire space fleet consists of fewer than 1,000 vessels. Most are exploration ships, not warships." A ripple of laughter echoed through the war room. The other officers found it amusing that such a primitive species would even be worth the Dominion's attention. But their amusement was interrupted by a commotion near the entrance. Guards escorted an elderly alien into the room. His blue skin was marked with the ritual scars of the Althan people, and his eyes held a deep sadness that spoke of great loss. "Elder Mordus requests an audience," announced the lead guard. "He claims urgent knowledge about the human species." Kextar waved a dismissive hand. The Althan were one of the few species the Dominion allowed to remain neutral. They served as traders and information brokers throughout the galaxy. "Speak quickly, old one. We have a conquest to plan." Mordus stepped forward, his voice trembling with urgency. "Admiral, I have seen what these humans can do. 3 years ago, our trading vessel was attacked by space pirates near their system. We expected to die, as our ship had no weapons." "Get to the point," Kextar growled. "The humans came to help us," Mordus continued. "A single human patrol ship engaged 12 pirate vessels. I watched them fight, Admiral. These humans do not fight like other species. They do not retreat when outnumbered. They do not surrender when facing death. They fight with a fury I have never witnessed." The war room fell silent for a moment. Then Kextar let out a booming laugh that shook the walls. "1 ship against 12? Even if this tale is true, we bring 12,000 ships. Are you suggesting 1 human vessel could defeat our entire invasion fleet?" Mordus shook his head desperately. "You do not understand. It is not about numbers with humans. They think differently. They see warfare as a puzzle to solve, not just a battle to win. In that fight, they use the pirates' own weapons against them. They turn the enemy's strength into weakness." "Enough of this nonsense," Kextar declared. "Guards, escort our friend back to his ship. Perhaps age has clouded his judgment." As the guards led Mordus away, he called out one last warning. "Please, Admiral, do not underestimate them. They fight like cornered predators, even when facing certain death. If you attack their world, they will not just defend it. They will make you regret ever learning their name." The war room erupted in laughter once more. Velkon pulled up tactical projections showing the Dominion's assembled fleet. 12,000 warships hung in space like a cloud of death. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level a planet's surface. Together, they represented the largest invasion force the Dominion had ever assembled. "The fleet is ready, Admiral," reported Fleet Commander Zekvol. "All ships are armed with plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and shield disruptors. We also carry 2 million ground troops for planetary occupation." Kextar nodded approvingly. "Excellent. Set course for the Sol system. Send the humans our standard surrender demand. Perhaps they will be wise enough to submit without forcing us to demonstrate our power." Light years away, in the cold void between stars, the massive Dominion fleet began its journey toward Earth. Their ships moved in perfect formation, a testament to centuries of military precision. Each captain knew their role in the coming conquest. Orbital bombardment would soften any resistance, followed by ground invasion and the establishment of Dominion rule. None of them suspected that their enemy had been watching and preparing for this moment for decades. On Luna Base, hidden on the dark side of Earth's moon, Captain Daeho Park stood before a wall of monitors showing deep space sensor readings. His weathered face remained calm as he studied the approaching threat, but his hands clenched into fists at his sides. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Boram Kim from her communication station. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive hyperspace signatures, multiple contacts moving in formation toward our system." Daeho walked over to her station. The tactical display showed a red cloud slowly growing larger as it approached. The computer estimated arrival time at 72 hours. "How many ships?" Daeho asked quietly. Boram's fingers danced over her controls as she refined the sensor data. Her face grew pale as the numbers became clear. 12,000 vessels, sir, all showing military configurations. This is not a patrol or exploration fleet." Other officers in the command center stopped their work to listen. The room grew quiet except for the soft hum of electronic systems. "Orders, sir?" asked Commander Hyejin Cho, Earth's chief tactical. Officer Daeho stared at the display for a long moment. 12,000 enemy ships against Earth's 800 defenders. By any normal calculation, humanity stood no chance of survival. But Daeho remembered the words carved into the wall of the command center. Never again. The motto had been chosen after Earth's first contact with hostile aliens 50 years earlier. Humanity had sworn that no enemy would ever threaten their world without facing consequences. "Send a message to all ships," Daeho commanded. "Full alert status. Begin implementing Defense Protocol 7. Boram raised an eyebrow. Protocol 7 was Earth's most extreme defensive plan. It had never been tested in actual combat. "Sir, are you certain? Protocol 7 is designed for impossible odds." "Lieutenant," Daeho replied with a cold smile, "we are about to face impossible odds. Send the protocol activation codes to all fleet commanders, and prepare a response to whatever surrender demand these aliens send us." As alarms began sounding throughout Luna Base, Earth's defenders prepared for a battle that would determine the fate of humanity. In the depths of hidden research facilities, scientists made final adjustments to weapons the galaxy had never seen. In orbital shipyards, engineers loaded the last of humanity's secret ammunition. The Vorthak Dominion was about to learn why Elder Mortis had tried so desperately to warn them. They were about to discover that humans had spent 50 years preparing for this exact moment. The greatest military force in galactic history was sailing toward Earth, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They expected another easy victory, to add to their long list of conquests. Instead, they were flying directly into humanity's trap. The Vorthak invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a storm cloud blotting out the stars. Admiral Kextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching through the viewports as thousands of warships fell into attack formation. The sight filled him with pride. No enemy had ever withstood such overwhelming force. "Begin standard invasion protocol," Kextar commanded. "Target their orbital defense platforms first. Once we control the high ground, their pathetic fleet will have nowhere to hide." The Dominion had used this strategy hundreds of times across the galaxy. Orbital bombardment would destroy any resistance, followed by ground troops to secure the planet. Most species surrendered after seeing the first demonstration of Dominion firepower. The first wave of Vorthak ships moved toward Earth like a tide of death, their plasma cannons charged with deadly energy, ready to turn humanity's space stations into floating debris. The alien commanders expected to see human ships fleeing in panic or broadcasting desperate surrender messages. Instead, something unexpected happened. Earth's defense platforms did not retreat. They did not broadcast surrender messages. Instead, they opened fire with weapons the Vorthak had never seen before. From Luna Base, Dr. Minho Lee watched his life's work finally put to the test. For 30 years, he had studied every piece of alien technology that humanity had encountered. He had learned their strengths and, more importantly, their weaknesses. "Gravity lance batteries are online," reported his assistant. Dr. Kyung-Soo Nam. All platforms are ready to fire. Min-ho nodded grimly. Fire when ready. Let's see how they handle a little quantum physics. The defense platforms launched what appeared to be simple metal projectiles. The Vorthak officers laughed as they watched. The primitive kinetic weapons approached their shields. Their energy barriers had stopped plasma bolts, quantum torpedoes, and antimatter bombs. Simple metal slugs would bounce off like raindrops, but these were not simple metal slugs. Each projectile contained a miniature artificial gravity generator, a device that humanity had developed by combining human engineering with alien technology. As the projectiles struck the Vorthak shields, they activated their gravity fields. The effect was devastating. Instead of bouncing off the enemy barriers, the weapons created localized spatial distortions. The shield's own energy was turned against them, creating gravitational wells that pulled the protective barriers inward. The Vorthak watched in horror as their invincible defenses collapsed into tiny black holes that consumed their own ships. Impossible! Kekstar roared as the first line of his fleet began disappearing into swirling vortexes of twisted space-time. What kind of weapons are these? Science Officer Velkan frantically analyzed the attack data. Admiral, they are using gravity manipulation technology, but according to our science, such weapons should be impossible to create on this scale. Then our science is wrong, Kekstar snarled. All ships, evasive maneuvers, return fire with everything we have. The Dominion fleet tried to retreat to a safe distance, but the humans were just getting started. From hidden positions throughout the asteroid belt, more defense platforms revealed themselves. Each one carried a different type of experimental weapon. Commander Hyojin Cho coordinated the defense from her command center deep within Luna Base. Her tactical display showed the battle unfolding exactly as she had planned. Years of studying Dominion tactics had allowed her to predict their every move. Phase 2 is go, she announced. Deploy the quantum disruptors. The second wave of human weapons defied everything the Vorthak thought they knew about physics. These projectiles passed through the alien shields as if they did not exist, then materialized inside their ships' hulls. The quantum disruptor warheads unraveled the molecular bonds holding the enemy vessels together. Vorthak warships began falling, apart at the atomic level. Metal hull plates simply ceased to exist as their atoms forgot how to stay connected. Thousands of alien warriors found themselves floating in space as their mighty battleships dissolved around them. But the real shock came when Dominion ground forces attempted to land on Earth's surface. Major Wansik Jang had been waiting for them with weapons that seemed to mock the laws of reality. His soldiers carried what appeared to be simple rifles, but each weapon had been modified with quantum phase technology. The bullets they fired could shift between dimensions, allowing them to pass through energy shields and armor as if they were made of air. The first Vorthak drop troops landed near Seoul, expecting to face primitive human weapons. Instead, they found themselves under attack by soldiers whose bullets ignored every defense they possessed. "How are they shooting through our armor?" screamed Assault Leader Graknon as his troops fell around him. "Our battle suits can stop plasma bolts." The answer came from the human soldiers themselves. They had learned that superior technology meant nothing without superior tactics. While the aliens relied on brute force and overwhelming numbers, humans had learned to think creatively. Captain So-Young Lim led her squad through the city streets like ghosts. Her soldiers used their phase rifles to shoot around corners, through walls, and even through the ground itself. The Vorthak troops found themselves fighting an enemy they could not see or hit. "Command, this is Ground Team Alpha," So-Young reported, over her radio. "Enemy forces are retreating. They cannot adapt to our quantum weapons." Back in space, Admiral Kekstar watched his invasion force crumble. Half his ships had been destroyed by weapons that should not exist. The other half was trapped by gravitational fields that prevented them from escaping to hyperspace. "Admiral," Velkan reported with growing panic, "the humans are not fighting defensively. They are herding us toward the asteroid belt. I believe this is a trap." Kekstar studied the tactical display. The human ships appeared to be retreating, drawing his forces deeper into the solar system. But their retreat looked too organized, too planned. "You think they want us to follow them?" he asked. "I think they have been planning this battle for decades," Velkon replied. Every move they make seems calculated to manipulate our response. On Earth, President In-suk Cho watched the battle from the Global Defense Command Center. Her military advisors had warned her that this moment would come eventually. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for a fight they hoped would never happen. How long until Phase 3? She asked. General Eun Kyung-jung checked her tactical display. The enemy fleet is almost in position. Our hidden weapons platforms throughout the asteroid belt are ready to activate. President Cho nodded. Proceed with the plan. It is time to show these aliens that humans do not fight fair when our survival is at stake. In space, the Vorthak fleet continued its pursuit of the apparently retreating human forces. They moved deeper into Earth's solar system, unaware that they were walking into the most sophisticated trap in military history. Admiral Kex Tar stood on his bridge, watching the human ships flee before his superior numbers. Perhaps victory was still possible despite their strange weapons. He had no idea that humanity's real weapons were still hidden, waiting in the darkness between the asteroids. The battle had only just begun, and the humans were about to demonstrate why they had survived every threat their dangerous galaxy had thrown at them. The Dominion was about to learn that underestimating humanity was the last mistake they would ever make. Admiral Kextar felt victory within his grasp as the human fleet continued its retreat toward the asteroid belt. Despite the shocking losses from their strange weapons, he still commanded over 8,000 warships against humanity's few hundred defenders. Numbers would win this battle as they always did. Maintain pursuit, he ordered his fleet commanders. Do not let them escape into hyperspace. We will corner them against the asteroids and finish this. What Kextar did not know was that Colonel Yuna Han had been planning this exact moment for 15 years. From her command bunker buried deep beneath the Korean mountains, she watched the alien fleet move directly into humanity's carefully prepared killing ground. All units, this is Control, Yuna spoke into her headset. The enemy is entering the asteroid field. Prepare to spring the trap. Throughout the belt of rocky debris that orbited between Mars and Jupiter, thousands of hidden weapons platforms powered up their systems. Each one had been disguised to look like ordinary asteroids. The Dominion scouts had passed right by them, without a second glance. Dr. Chan Woo Park had spent a decade perfecting the quantum torpedoes that these platforms carried. Unlike normal weapons that simply destroyed their targets, these torpedoes unraveled the basic forces that held matter together. They turned enemy ships into clouds of disconnected atoms. Quantum torpedo batteries are armed and ready, reported his assistant from the Hidden Control Center. All platforms show green status. Wait for my signal, Chan Woo replied. Let them get deeper into the field first. The Vorthak fleet entered the asteroid belt in a standard hunting formation with their fastest ships leading the pursuit. They expected to catch the human vessels in open space where superior firepower would decide the battle. Captain So-young Lim commanded the battleship Seoul's Fury, one of the human vessels apparently fleeing from the alien Armada. But her retreat was carefully calculated. Every maneuver drew the enemy ships deeper into the trap. Distance to target zone? She asked her navigation officer. 5 minutes to optimal firing position, Lieutenant Tae-ho Kim reported. Enemy lead elements are almost in range of the hidden platforms. So-young nodded. Her ship carried one of humanity's most closely guarded secrets. Months earlier, human salvage crews had recovered several destroyed Vorthak vessels from previous skirmishes. Dr. Kyung-ho Yoon, Earth's top xenobiologist, had studied their technology with obsessive detail. What he discovered changed everything. The Vorthak control systems used quantum entanglement to coordinate their fleets. Every ship was connected to every other ship through subspace communication networks. It made their coordination perfect, but it also created a massive vulnerability. Activate the Trojan Protocol, So-young commanded. Deep in her ship's computer core, a virus that had taken 3 years to develop began transmitting itself through quantum channels. This virus was not made of normal computer code. It was constructed from pure mathematics, designed to rewrite the fundamental programming of Vorthak ship systems. The first sign of trouble came when Assault Leader Vexkar noticed his weapon systems responding sluggishly to commands. Engineering. Why are my plasma cannons not charging properly? His chief engineer checked the systems and found nothing wrong with the hardware. All components show normal function, sir, but the targeting computer seems to be running slower than usual. Across the Vorthak fleet, similar problems began appearing. Ships found their weapons turning toward unexpected targets. Navigation systems started plotting courses that made no sense. Shield generators began shutting down without orders. Admiral Kekstar realized something was terribly wrong when his own flagship's main guns rotated to aim at the ship beside him. "What is happening to our systems?" Science Officer Velkon frantically ran diagnostics on their quantum communication network. What he found filled him with horror. "Admiral, something is rewriting our ship programming. The code appears to be spreading through our quantum links." "Cut all quantum communications immediately," Kekstar ordered. "Too late, sir," Velkon replied, in a shaking voice. "The virus has already infected our entire fleet." At that moment, Colonel Yuna Han gave the order that sealed the Dominion's fate. "All units, execute Order Hammer Fall. Spring the trap now." The asteroid belt erupted with weapons fire as thousands of hidden platforms revealed themselves. Quantum torpedoes streaked through space like vengeful spirits, each one seeking a Vorthak target. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies they had never detected. But the real horror began when 200 ships within the Dominion fleet suddenly turned their weapons on their own allies. The quantum virus had completely taken control of these vessels, turning them into unwilling servants of humanity. "Our own ships are firing on us," screamed Fleet Commander Zekvol as his formation disintegrated around him. "How is this possible?" The answer came from Captain So-Young Lim, broadcasting on open frequencies for all to hear. "You made the mistake of connecting all your ships together. We simply took advantage of your own efficiency." Dr. Kyung-Ho Yoon had discovered that Vorthak quantum communication systems had no security protocols. They had never encountered an enemy capable of quantum hacking. Their perfect coordination had become their greatest weakness. Vorthak warships began exploding throughout the asteroid field as their own allies fired upon them. The infected vessels moved with deadly precision, targeting command ships and carriers first. Years of studying Dominion tactics allowed the human-controlled ships to strike exactly where it would hurt most. Admiral Kekstar watched his mighty Armada destroy itself and felt fear for the first time in his long military career. "How did they take control of our ships? Our quantum networks are supposed to be unhackable." "They are not just fighting us," Velkon replied as he studied the tactical displays. "They are using our own strengths against us. Every advantage we possess they have turned into a weapon." The battle became a massacre as the hidden asteroid platforms poured quantum fire into the trapped alien fleet. Ships that tried to retreat found their paths blocked by human-controlled Vorthak vessels. Ships that tried to fight found themselves outnumbered and outgunned. Captain Daeho Park watched the carnage from Luna Base with grim satisfaction. "Target their command ships first. We want their leadership to see what happens to those who threaten Earth." The Soul's Fury led the human counterattack with ruthless efficiency. So-Young's crew had trained for this moment their entire careers. They moved through the chaos like surgeons, cutting apart the enemy formation with precision strikes. "Admiral," reported Commander Hyejin Cho from Tactical Command, "enemy fleet cohesion is completely broken. They are attempting to retreat, but our quantum interdiction fields are preventing hyperspace jumps." This was humanity's final surprise. The same technology that powered their gravity weapons could also disrupt the space-time distortions needed for faster-than-light travel. The Dominion fleet found itself trapped in normal space with nowhere to run. Elder Mortis's warning echoed through the cosmos as the greatest invasion force in galactic history died in the cold vacuum between worlds. The humans had not simply defended their planet. They had turned the invaders' own technology against them with surgical precision. As the last of the infected ships finished destroying their former allies, humanity prepared for the next phase of their plan. The Vorthak Dominion had made the fatal mistake of teaching Earth exactly how dangerous the galaxy could be. Now it was time for the galaxy to learn how dangerous humans could be in return. The battle in the asteroid field had turned into a complete rout. Admiral Kekstar watched in horror as his once mighty invasion fleet tore itself apart. Ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds now fired desperately at their own allies, their crews helpless prisoners inside hulls controlled by human quantum viruses. All remaining ships emergency retreat, Kekstar screamed into his communicator. Break formation and scatter, every ship for itself. But Commander Taemin Ko had been waiting for this moment. From his position aboard the human destroyer, Incheon's Pride, he coordinated the final phase of humanity's counterattack. The aliens thought they could simply run away after threatening to destroy Earth. They were about to learn that humans had very different ideas about justice. All hunter-killer squadrons begin pursuit, Taemin commanded. Remember your training. No enemy ship escapes. No tyrant goes unpunished. The human fleet had spent months studying how the Dominion operated. They knew that if even a few ships escaped, the aliens would return with an even larger force. This battle had to end the threat permanently. Captain Jeon Shin commanded the stealth vessel, Shadow of Busan, humanity's most advanced warship. Her ship used experimental cloaking technology that made it invisible to every known sensor system. For the past hour, she had been hunting the most important targets in the enemy fleet. Target acquired, her weapons officer reported. Dominion, command ship Eternal Conquest, bearing 27 Mark IV. Ji-un studied the tactical display. The enemy flagship was trying to escape toward the edge of the solar system, but it would never make it to hyperspace range. Her ship carried phase, torpedoes, weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Fire all tubes, she ordered coldly. The torpedoes materialized inside the enemy ship's hull, bypassing every defense the aliens possessed. The massive command vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of multidimensional fire, taking Admiral Kekstar and his entire command staff with it. But humanity's real genius showed itself when the surviving Vorthak ships reached the edge of the solar system and attempted to jump to hyperspace. Chief Engineer Dong Hyun had modified Earth's gravity weapon platforms to create something the galaxy had never seen before. Hyperspace interdiction field is at full power, he reported from his station on Luna Base. No enemy vessel can enter, faster than light travel within 50 million kilometers of our sun. The Dominion ships found themselves trapped in normal space like insects in amber. Their hyperspace engines sparked and failed as the artificial gravity fields twisted space-time itself into impossible knots. They could only watch helplessly as human ships closed in from all directions. Dr. Soo-Jin Bae, Earth's leading physicist, broadcast a message on all frequencies so every alien in the fleet could hear her words. You came to our system expecting an easy conquest. You thought we were primitive and weak. You were wrong on both counts. Her voice carried the cold fury of someone who had spent years preparing for this moment. We studied every species you have conquered. We learned from every world you have destroyed. You taught us exactly what kind of monsters we were dealing with. Fleet Commander Zekvol, now in command of what remained of the invasion force, tried desperately to negotiate. Humans, we surrender. We will leave your system and never return. We pose no further threat. The response came from Captain Dae-ho Park, now commanding the entire human fleet. Your surrender is rejected. You came here to commit genocide. The penalty for that crime is death. But Dae-ho's next words sent shockwaves through every surviving alien on the battlefield. However, we are not monsters like you. Any individual who wishes to defect and provide information about Dominion military installations will be spared. You have 1 hour to decide. This offer split the remaining Vorthak forces down the middle. Younger officers who had been forced into military service began broadcasting surrender messages. Veteran commanders who had participated in countless genocides chose to fight to the death rather than face human justice. The psychological warfare was devastating. The Dominion had ruled through fear and absolute loyalty for thousands of years. Now their own troops were abandoning them in droves, seeking protection from the very species they had come to exterminate. Captain So-Young Lim led the final assault against the holdouts. Her battle group moved through the trapped enemy ships, like avenging angels, destroying those who refused to surrender while protecting those who chose cooperation. Enemy resistance is collapsing, she reported to Fleet Command. Most of their remaining ships are broadcasting surrender signals. But the humans had one more surprise for their enemies. Major Wansik Jung, now commanding Earth's prisoner processing operation, revealed that humanity had been intercepting Dominion communications for months. "We know where your slave camps are located," he told the captured alien officers. "We know which species you are currently genociding. We know the location of every major Dominion military base." The prisoners stared at him in shock. How could a primitive species possess such detailed intelligence about the galaxy's most secretive empire? The answer came from Dr. Minho Lee, who had spent decades reverse engineering alien technology. "Every piece of equipment you left behind on conquered worlds contained data storage. Every destroyed ship carried navigation computers. You scattered the evidence of your crimes across the galaxy, and we collected it all." General Yun Kyung-jung coordinated the interrogation of high-ranking prisoners. What she learned confirmed humanity's worst fears about the Dominion. They had not just conquered worlds. They had systematically exterminated entire species for sport. "Show them the recordings," Jung ordered her intelligence officers. Holographic displays activated throughout the prisoner holding areas, showing footage recovered from Dominion surveillance systems. The alien officers watched their own forces, committing unspeakable atrocities against helpless civilian populations. "This is what you call conquest," Dr. Sujin Bei announced as the recordings played. "This is why you will receive no mercy from us." Some of the prisoners broke down completely when confronted with visual evidence of their crimes. Others maintained defiant silence. But all of them began to understand that they were no longer dealing with another victim species. President Insuk Cho addressed the captured aliens from the Global Defense Command Center. Her words carried the authority of someone speaking for all of humanity. "You have spent 3,000 years spreading death and suffering across the galaxy. You created an empire built on the bones of innocent species. That empire ends today." She gestured to the tactical displays showing the destruction of the invasion fleet. "Your military might is broken. Your ships are destroyed. Your troops are dead or captured. But this is only the beginning." The president's next words sent terror through every remaining Dominion officer. "We know where your homeworlds are located. We know where your military bases hide. We know which species you are currently oppressing." Captain Daeho Park took over the broadcast from his flagship. "The Terran Federation is now at war with the Vorthak Dominion. We will hunt down every ship you possess. We will liberate every world you occupy. We will not stop until your empire of evil is completely destroyed." The surviving prisoners realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. A species they had dismissed as primitive was declaring war on the most powerful empire in the known universe, and based on what they had seen in this battle, the humans might actually win. 3 months after the destruction of the Vorthak invasion fleet, Admiral Wu Jin Choi stood on the bridge of humanity's newest battleship, watching the final preparations for Operation Righteous Fury. The massive vessel had been built using captured Dominion technology combined with human engineering genius. "Fleet status report," Wu Jin requested from his tactical officer. "All ships ready for hyperspace jump," Commander Seung Ho Kim replied. 200 human vessels plus 50 captured and retrofitted Vorthak ships. The liberated alien crews are eager to fight their former masters. The human fleet represented something the galaxy had never seen before. Instead of conquering other species, humanity had offered partnership to the Dominion's victims. Dozens of enslaved races had joined Earth's cause, bringing their own knowledge and hatred of their oppressors. Strategic analyst Haiwan Park had spent months studying captured Dominion military records. Her research revealed the secret to the aliens' power, a network of slave soldier production facilities that created armies from conquered populations. "Primary target is the Kepler facility," Haiwan briefed the fleet commanders over the communication system. "Intelligence indicates they process over 10 million enslaved beings per year into combat troops. Destroying it will cripple their ability to replace military losses." But humanity's real weapon was not their ships or their advanced technology. It was their ability to think in ways that no galactic empire had ever encountered. Captain Myung-Soo Lee commanded the experimental vessel, Seoul's Vengeance, equipped with temporal displacement engines developed by Earth's top physicists. These devices allowed his ship to attack multiple targets simultaneously across vast distances by creating temporary rifts in spacetime. Displacement engines are online, his chief engineer reported. We can hit 6 facilities at once if the calculations are correct. They will be correct, Myung-soo replied with confidence. Human mathematics does not lie. The first phase of humanity's galactic offensive began when the fleet jumped to hyperspace and scattered across Dominion territory. Unlike the aliens' traditional strategy of massive frontal assaults, humans struck like ghosts, appearing suddenly, destroying their targets, then vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. General Yoon Kyung-jung coordinated the liberation campaigns from her command center on Earth. She had made contact with resistance movements on dozens of oppressed worlds, offering them human weapons and tactical support. Rebellion status report, she requested from her intelligence staff. Uprising on Altair 7 is successful, reported Colonel Yoon Han. Local population has seized the capital using our quantum weapons. Similar revolts beginning on 12 other worlds. The psychological impact was devastating for the Dominion. Their empire had ruled through fear and overwhelming force for millennia. Now their own subjects were rising up with weapons that could penetrate any defense. Commander Vextar, one of the few surviving Dominion officers from the Earth invasion, tried desperately to coordinate a response from his new command post on the fortress world of Kepler Prime. How many facilities have we lost? He asked his intelligence officer. 43 production centers destroyed in the past month, came the grim reply. The humans are using some kind of multi-dimensional attack system. They strike several targets simultaneously, making interception impossible. Vextar studied the tactical displays showing human raids across Dominion space. The attacks followed no pattern he could understand. The humans seemed to know exactly where to strike for maximum damage. What he did not know was that Dr. Kyung-ho Yoon had spent months interrogating Dominion prisoners and analyzing their computer systems. Humanity now possessed detailed maps of every important military installation in the galaxy. Fleet Commander Sung-ho Kim led the most daring raid of the campaign against the Dominion's primary weapons research facility. His task force carried a special weapon developed by Dr. Chan-woo Park, a star-killer torpedo capable of destabilizing an entire solar system. Target acquired, his weapons officer announced. Vorthak Central Command, Nexus System. Seung-ho looked at the massive space station orbiting the system's primary star. Intelligence reports indicated this facility coordinated military operations across half the galaxy. Its destruction would throw the entire Dominion war effort into chaos. Launch the Star Killer, he commanded. The torpedo flew toward the system's sun, not the space station. When it impacted the stellar surface, it created a cascade reaction that threatened to turn the star into a supernova. The Dominion had only minutes to evacuate their most important military headquarters, or watch it burn in stellar fire. But humanity's true masterstroke came through diplomacy rather than destruction. Ambassador Young-mi Nam broadcast a message to every world in Dominion space, offering them something no galactic empire had ever provided. People of the galaxy, her voice carried across subspace communication networks. The Terran Federation offers you a choice. Join us willingly and receive protection, technology, and freedom. Continue supporting the Dominion and face the consequences. The response was overwhelming. World after world declared independence from the Dominion and requested Federation membership. Entire star systems switched sides overnight, bringing their fleets and industrial capacity with them. Captain So-young Lim commanded the fleet that liberated the Althan homeworld, fulfilling humanity's promise to Elder Mortis. The old alien wept with joy as he watched Dominion garrison troops surrender without firing a shot. Your people kept their word, he told So-young during the victory celebration. You said you would free the galaxy from tyranny. I believed you, would try. I never imagined you would succeed so completely. The liberation campaigns revealed the true scope of Dominion crimes. On world after world, human forces discovered mass graves, slave camps, and experimental facilities where entire species had been tortured for scientific research. Dr. Su Jin Bei documented the evidence with clinical precision. "We are not just fighting a war," she announced during a Federation Council meeting. "We are stopping an ongoing genocide that has consumed entire civilizations." The final battle came when Fleet Commander Sung-Ho Kim's task force reached the HFY Dominion capital system. The aliens had gathered their remaining ships for a last, desperate defense of their homeworld. "Enemy fleet composition?" Sung-Ho asked his tactical officer. 3,000 ships, sir. All that remains of their once mighty armada." Sung-Ho nodded grimly. The Federation fleet numbered only 800 vessels, but they carried weapons. The Dominion could not counter and crews motivated by righteous fury. "All ships attack formation," he commanded. "Today we end 3,000 years of galactic oppression." The battle was swift and decisive. Dominion ships exploded under the assault of human quantum weapons, while their own attacks proved useless against Federation shields. The aliens' superior numbers meant nothing when their technology was inferior, and their cause was unjust. As the last enemy warship died in the void, President In-suk Cho prepared to address the galaxy. The Terran Federation now controlled over half the known star systems. The age of the Vorthak Dominion was ending, but humanity's greatest challenge still lay ahead. It was one thing to destroy an evil empire. It was something entirely different, to build a better one in its place. The galaxy waited to see what kind of rulers humans would become. 1 year after the fall of the Vorthak Dominion, President In-suk Cho stood before the first Galactic Council in the history of the known universe. Representatives from over 300 species filled the vast assembly hall that had been built from the ruins of the Dominion capital. The transformation was remarkable. Where once stood monuments to conquest and oppression, now rose towers dedicated to science, art, and cooperation. The former slave worlds had become equal partners in something unprecedented, a truly democratic galactic government. "Fellow citizens of the galaxy," In-suk addressed the assembly, her words translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. "We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners in building a better future for all sentient life." The audience contained beings of every imaginable form. Crystalline entities from gas giant worlds sat beside aquatic species in environmental suits. Former Dominion soldiers who had defected during the liberation campaigns worked alongside their former victims as equals. Dr. Hyun-woo Seo, now director of the Galactic Research Initiative, presented the first major achievements of interspecies cooperation. His team had combined human ingenuity with alien knowledge to create technologies that benefited everyone. "Medical breakthroughs alone have saved over 10 billion lives this year," he reported to the council. "The Althan healing crystals combined with human nanotechnology can cure diseases that plagued the galaxy for millennia." But the real revolution was not technological, it was philosophical. Commander Subin Kwan, now Supreme Commander of the Galactic Defense Force, explained humanity's core principle to the assembled representatives. "The Federation exists for one purpose," she stated clearly, "to ensure that no species ever again faces extinction alone. Our defense installations throughout the galaxy stand ready to protect any world that requests our aid." This was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the concept that strength should be used to protect the weak rather than exploit them. Defense platforms staffed by mixed-species crews orbited critical star systems, armed with human quantum weapons that could stop any aggressor. The former Dominion worlds had been the biggest surprise. Instead of seeking revenge against their oppressors, many species had chosen reconciliation. The Vorthak themselves, stripped of their military power and imperial government, were slowly learning to live as equals among the species they had once enslaved. Elder Mordus, now serving as ambassador to the Outer Rim territories, reported on the progress of former enemy worlds. "The integration process proceeds better than expected. Young Vorthak especially embrace the Federation's principles. They are ashamed of their species' past and eager to help build a better future. But not all changes came easily. Admiral Woo Jin Choi commanded the peacekeeping forces dealing with die-hard Dominion loyalists who refused to accept the new order. These remnants had retreated to the galaxy's darkest corners, plotting their return to power. "Resistance pockets remain active in 17 systems," he reported during a security briefing. They possess minimal military capability, but significant terrorist potential. President In-suk listened to these reports with the wisdom of someone who had guided humanity through its greatest trial. Continue monitoring their activities, but remember, we fight to protect innocent life, not to seek vengeance. Even our enemies deserve the chance to change. The economic transformation was equally dramatic. Dr. Min-ho Lee, now head of industrial development, oversaw the conversion of former weapons factories into centers of peaceful production. The same facilities that once built ships of conquest now manufactured medical equipment and exploration vessels. Production efficiency has increased by 400% since liberation, he reported to the Economic Council. When people work for themselves instead of slave masters, they accomplish miracles. The cultural renaissance amazed everyone involved. Species that had been forbidden from practicing their arts under Dominion rule now shared their heritage with the galaxy. Concert halls featured music from dozens of worlds. Museums displayed artifacts that had been hidden for centuries. Captain Jiun Shin, now director of cultural exchange programs, coordinated festivals that brought together beings who had never imagined they could coexist peacefully. Art transcends language barriers, she explained to a gathering of cultural ambassadors. A Vorthak sculpture can move an Althan to tears. Human music can inspire a crystalline entity to create something beautiful. This is how we build understanding between species. The trials of former war criminals had concluded with justice tempered by mercy. Admiral Kekstar and other Dominion leaders were dead, killed during the Liberation Wars, but lower-ranking officers, who had committed crimes under orders, faced rehabilitation rather than execution. Colonel Yuna Han, now Director of Justice and Reconciliation, explained the philosophy behind these decisions. Revenge creates more hatred. Justice combined with education creates better citizens. We judge actions, but we also try to heal the minds that committed them. The transformation of individual Vorthak proved this approach worked. Former soldiers who had participated in genocides now worked as teachers, helping other species learn from their mistakes. Their shame over past actions became determination to prevent future atrocities. But humanity's greatest achievement was not what they had built. It was what they had chosen not to become. Despite possessing the most advanced military technology in the galaxy, humans had refused to establish their own empire. General Yun Kyung-jung explained this decision to a gathering of military academies from across the Federation. Power without moral limits creates tyranny. We saw what the Dominion became when they forgot this lesson. The Federation's strength comes from serving others, not ruling them. The defense forces reflected this philosophy. Human ships carried crews from dozens of species. Alien officers commanded human troops. Military academies taught courses in ethics alongside tactics, ensuring that future defenders would never become conquerors. Captain Dae-ho Park, now Fleet Admiral of the Galactic Defense Force, stood on the observation deck of the newest Federation battleship. The vessel was named Never Again, in memory of humanity's promise to prevent future genocides. Around him, construction crews from dozens of species worked together to build a new class of exploration ships. These vessels carried no weapons, only scientists, diplomats, and teachers whose mission was to spread knowledge and friendship throughout the galaxy. The nameplate on each ship bore the same inscription in hundreds of languages: to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. As Admiral Dae-ho watched the construction work, he reflected on how far the galaxy had come. 1 year ago, it had been ruled by fear and dominated by the strong. Now it was governed by consent and protected by those who chose service over self-interest. Ambassador Young-min Nam sent regular reports from the galactic frontier, where exploration teams made contact with new species every month. Each first contact followed strict protocols designed to protect developing civilizations from exploitation. "We have learned from the Dominion's mistakes," she reported during a council session. "We approach new species as friends, not conquerors. We offer knowledge and assistance, never domination." The galaxy was not perfect. Problems remained to be solved. Some species struggled with the transition from oppression to freedom. Economic disparities between worlds created tensions. Old ethnic hatreds sometimes flared into violence. But for the first time in galactic history, these problems were addressed through negotiation rather than conquest. The Federation's mediation services helped resolve disputes peacefully. Economic development programs lifted struggling worlds out of poverty. President In-suk concluded the anniversary celebration with words that captured humanity's vision for the future. We did not seek to become the galaxy's leaders. That responsibility was thrust upon us by necessity. But having accepted it, we pledged to use our power only to protect and serve. She gestured toward the stars visible through the great hall's transparent dome. Out there lie millions of worlds yet to be discovered, billions of beings yet to be befriended, countless wonders yet to be explored. That is our future, not as conquerors, but as explorers and protectors. The assembly rose, in applause that echoed through the hall. Beings who had once cowered in terror before their oppressors now stood together as equals and friends. The Vorthak Dominion was dead. In its place stood something the galaxy had never known, a civilization based on freedom, cooperation, and hope. And at its heart stood humanity, the species that had proven that even the darkest tyranny could be defeated by those willing to fight not for conquest, but for justice.